And I do find that a lot of people have ideas in their mind, like, if I had the opportunity to, I would do that thing, not realizing that everyone has the opportunity to. It's
Mm.
just the power of momentum, just getting up and today being like, you know what, I'm just going to do the thing.
Yeah.
And you don't have to succeed at that thing. That's not the point. It's really the journey,
Yeah.
right? It is very powerful, I believe, when you understand that the journey is more important than the destination. And
Hmm.
it was a very hard lesson for me to learn, that I was actually searching for something that I already had.
And what was the moment that you realized that for yourself? That
Mm. So I realized that when my business failed the first time, like, and I was like really sad about it. And I got mentorship on, again, clarity,
Mhm.
becoming clear about my purpose. And at that moment, I realized, well, systems. I needed the right systems. I needed, all these different things in order to make what I wanted to accomplish possible. But then I also realized a lot of the things that I was like taking for granted in the business that I had before.
Mhm.
For example, family time,
Yeah.
incorrect boundaries, like all the things that I had that I felt like I'm working so hard to gain, I already had it. Hello, everyone, and thank you for joining us on another episode of Entrepreneurial Truth. On today's podcast, we have Priya Patel with us, and she's going to share her journey. Priya, thank you so much for being here with us.
And thank you for having me, Kesi. I'm excited for our conversation.
I am excited as well. Okay, I want you to tell our listeners a little bit about who you are and who you serve.
All right. So in terms of who I am, I could be here for hours, but I'll make it short and sweet. So I'm Priya, and I'm stepping into coaching. So I do have a coaching business, and I am a podcast host as well. And beyond that, I am many other things that um, I think make a big part of who I am and what I bring to what I do.
Awesome, awesome. And how did you end up stepping into the coaching space? What led you to coaching?
I think it was very much a journey I fell into. Entrepreneurship was something I was fascinated by before, but I never knew what I wanted to do. And I never forced what I wanted to do. And then a couple of years ago, I sort of had these breadcrumbs presented to me, and they sort of led into a coaching certification. And the thing about doing a coaching certification is you get coached in the process. So I went through my own sort of journey of growth and expansion as I was going through the coaching certifications. And on the other side of it, I was like, more people need to experience this, because I got to just gain deeper self awareness, see what I was doing, which wasn't even mine, where I was following all the shoulds that I should be doing. And it was just really eye opening, and it was something I wanted to share. But I did put the pressure on myself to create something with it. I was like, I need to start a business. Like, that's the next step. As we all think, there are all these steps to what a good life should look like. I fell into that with entrepreneurship. But when I caught myself in that moment, I realized that I'm still on my own personal growth journey, and I wasn't ready to start a business yet. So I did take time to just um, learn my lessons that I needed to learn before allowing what wanted to be created to be created. So it was something I fell into, a journey I kind of forced and then realized I was forcing and then stopped forcing it.
Oh, I love that. What were the clear indications to you that you were actually forcing something to happen when you weren't ready for that step?
That is such a good question. And I think I didn't realize it at the start, but I just had no idea. I think I had no clarity on what I wanted to do. I think on the inside I could tell I was really forcing it. And the biggest indicator for me there was it wasn't about serving, it was about me.
Oof.
Yeah. It was about I wanted to be quote unquote an entrepreneur. It wasn't about serving through coaching. And I was like, that is not the energy I want to bring to the way I want to serve. And that was a big indicator for me. It was very confronting.
Oh, I love that. I love
Yeah.
that. Wow. And then once you got clarity and said, you know what, let me step back from this, what what shifted to make you realize that you're now ready to step into the role of coaching?
So I think my relationship with my readiness has always been something I'm still refining. And I say that because there was an element of fear when I first wanted to step into coaching. And I would sort of hide behind the excuse that I'm not ready yet. So I think it's having a level of awareness there in terms of, am I hiding because I'm scared, or is it genuinely I'm not ready? So that was one part I had to be aware of. But in terms of when I felt ready, I think it was just more so when I kept not to the consistency that I wanted, but I started sharing a bit about my journey online. And as I was doing that, I got a bit more clarity in terms of how I want to use my coaching to help other people. Because I think coaching is such a broad thing. The skills that are underpin coaching can be applied in whatever area that you want to apply it in, whether that's business, mindset, finance, anything. But it was like, how do you coach people through? What can you really help them with? And I started to then get a bit more clarity in terms of what I wanted to help people with. And that's when I was like, okay, I think I'm becoming a bit more ready. And I just kept taking baby steps, baby steps, baby steps.
I love that. I love that. And I truly believe that, and I was having this conversation yesterday with someone, that being 60% ready is ready, right? So you
Yeah.
step into it and then you refine it as you go along. How have you been refining that process in your own business as you're moving along?
I think it's still something I'm understanding more and more about myself. I think, like I said, there's still the fears that do come up. I feel like I was putting pressure on myself to be a coach and be perfect and healed and never feel fears, but I feel fears too. And I think even when I was 60% ready, I was still holding back. And I think there was a few things that have helped me in continuing to show up and refine. And one of them has been community. So like I've got to build community around me, which helps keep me accountable. And I think when you're in community with other entrepreneurs at similar stages, but also people who are like steps ahead of you, it just pulls you out of what you're going through, reminds you that it's normal, and also just reconnects you to your vision of what you want to create. So that was one of the things that are part of helping me refine and keep showing up. And the other is sometimes, Kesi, I just get tired of my own excuses because I know they're excuses. And I'm like, if I don't do it now, I don't know, wonder what if for the longest time.
Right.
So, a bit about my podcast is it started from conversations with people from different walks of life, creating different things. And something that they always shared in every conversation that I had with people was, I wish I did this earlier, or I wish I knew this earlier. And I think that's the biggest thing. I don't want to get to a point and wonder what if. And I just hit this point where I was tired of my excuses and I was like, you know what? I'm going to find out where this goes. And if it works, great. If it doesn't, that's also okay, because at least I know. And I have to keep reminding myself of that, because I say this now, but I'll like after our recording, I'll probably still be scared to post a piece of content. So I have to keep
Mm.
reminding myself. It's never like a one and done, like, oh, she's the most motivated person I met. No, I still have fears and I still have to continue bouncing back and reminding myself of why I'm doing what I'm doing.
Wow. And what is it like now? You're online, people see you online and they think that you are super refined, like everything's is perfect, right? How do you like balance that whole thought process, right?
So I think if you see me online, nothing about me is perfect. If you meet me in person, nothing about me is perfect. And I think sometimes I forget that and I put that pressure in terms of how I show up online. But I think something that makes me me, or is the type of content I want to create and impact I want to create, is not to show up with perfection, but just to honor where I am on my journey. And for a while, like starting out in something, for me personally, starting out in entrepreneurship, when you're on social media, you're in this ocean of incredible people who are just posting what seems like perfect content. And I fell into that pool of wanting to do the same. And I just had a moment, I think it's very recent, where again, through like community and mentorship, it was like, what's more important to me? And I had this moment of just sitting with that, and I realized that truth is more important to me. So I'm not going to be online trying to share that I'm this perfect coach. I still have fears, I still have self doubt, and I'll still talk about it. And I think when I share from that place, it feels really nice inside. Like even just saying it out here, it just feels very freeing. And I think that's what's more important to me. So that's what I'm leaning into more. I did fall into the perfectionism trap at first, but I'm leaning more into my truth. And I was watching this episode of Aspire, the podcast Emma Grede has, and she had Mel Robbins on as a guest, and something Mel shared as well, which was really deeply. It hit a chord, and I was like, damn. And she was just talking about how she doesn't chase virality, she chases impact. And I was like, ooh,
Mhm.
so I think that's what I also have to remind myself of every time I choose to show up online. Is like, what is the energy that I'm bringing, and what is the message I want to share?
Oh, I'm so glad you said that, right? I find that so many people chase vanity metrics, right?
Mm,
And they don't realize that if there are two people that hear your message, it's equally as important as the thousands of people that you're chasing. Because
yeah.
if you can make an impact in any one of those two people, you are doing what you set out to do. And I think
Mm,
people miss that.
I missed it. I definitely missed it at first.
Yeah. Yeah.
And what's been your journey with navigating that part of the process as well?
So in navigating that process, it has literally been years of just mentorship,
Mm,
coaching, and the right people, surrounding myself with the right people that are
mm,
constantly speaking to that same part of me, right? Because we have the two parts, right? You have the ego, which really wants that thing. So you want the numbers, you want the metrics, but then realizing that I'm serving that version of me that needed to hear what it is I'm bringing to the table. And every day, that's a constant reminder that I was
mm.
that person searching for the information. And if I can reach me, that version, I've done my job.
Yeah, that is so powerful. And like, yeah, there is that ego version that wants the outward looking shiny objects.
Yep, yep, yep. It's awesome. And let me ask you, for your community, how did you find your community?
So I was I actually found it a couple of years ago, and it's something that you have to keep building, something you keep growing, and it takes effort to find your people. And I was listening to this podcast with Lori Harder. It's called Earn Your Happy, and it was something I always listened to. And she talked about this event that she had. It's called Girlfriends in Business. It was a mastermind type event where she brings like a small group of entrepreneurs together over in the States, bearing in mind I live in England. And something in me, Kesi, something in me said I needed to be in that room.
Wow.
I had no business at that time. I had no idea when I would one day have a business. I had no idea of what I could potentially do, but something told me I needed to be in that room. I felt very uncomfortable because I had no business. I was like, who am I to be in that room? I went across to the States to I say county because that's what we call it here, to a state I'd never visited, didn't know anyone. And that's when I started to like meet different people. I got to be in the energy of people who were running businesses. And I think that in itself started to spark like something within me. It just showed you what's normal. It showed you that the fears are normal. It showed you that the big dreams and ambitions you have are not too much. And I think it's not just for entrepreneurship, but anything you want to do. There's such value in having community, but it takes effort and you have to step outside of your comfort zone. Sometimes it doesn't always have to be as deep as flying across the world or investing in like big masterminds. It could be like a local community or business community around you. I think with the age of the internet, there's just so much opportunity to find that. And if you give yourself the opportunity to experience it, there's no going back. So yeah, it does take effort. It does take you stepping outside of your comfort zone, but when you find it, it's incredible. And it takes time to also find it. I went to
Mhm.
a couple of events, and over like events and being in different communities, I got to meet different people. So yeah.
Oh, and let me ask you, how do you stay active in those communities? Because a lot of people are in communities but are silent.
Yeah.
Like, How did you decide to share your voice within the community? And do you constantly show up inside of the community?
I think I'm one of those people who like I will make noise, you will know I'm there. Uh, but no, I think it's just simple moments. So I was lucky with the communities that I got to be part of. There were sort of programs that were also built around it to foster the community, foster growth through mentorship programs. So I got to deepen my relationship with them through those like organized sort of programs. But I think it can be also simple as just having a coffee chat with someone and getting to know them a bit deeper there. I think podcasting has been the greatest thing for me because I get to learn and meet people
Mhm.
like yourself, Kesi. This is literally the first time we're meeting. And I think it's such an opportunity to go so deep with people. So if there's an opportunity to be part of community groups and they have organized community calls, that's a great way to keep in touch with people, or even just like coffee chats. I think people are more open to it now. I know I did it as well for my podcasting. And yeah, people just love talking, meeting people. So, and you will get rejected. That's part of the a part of the process. But I think it helps you find people who are actually meant to be your people.
I agree with you. I always feel like if someone's supposed to be in my circle, they will be,
Mm,
because I feel like the universe just has a funny way of connecting people.
for
And
sure.
through this journey, as you said, I've met the most incredible human beings, like
Yeah.
just incredible. And leading into the shift into now where we are too with AI, I believe that these connections are going to be even more important moving forward.
Yeah. And even in person like connections, like people are craving that even more and more. And I feel like there's local communities who are hosting like in person events. I don't know much about, I think there's a lot of events in the US as well, but in the UK we have like different communities around interests, so like run clubs, book clubs, like investor clubs, entrepreneurship clubs. And I think that's like an easy way to just like dip your toe and just experience what could come from it. And there's it's uncomfortable to go by yourself and put yourself out there, but you will be so proud of yourself the moment you get home. No matter how well or how bad it went, you'll just be proud of yourself for showing up. And I think that's the biggest gift you can give yourself from all of this.
I agree. I agree. It is truly a gift. When you give, it's like that gift is being returned to you too, right?
Mm, yeah.
So I love that. I love that. And let me ask you, if you had to go back in time and give yourself some advice,
Ooh.
what advice would that be and what tool would you give yourself?
Ooh. I like the tool question. Um, I think the advice that I would give myself, and it's the advice I come back to so many times, even now, is just to trust yourself. I think when stepping, at least from my journey, when stepping into something like starting a business, like I said, there's so much information out there. There's so many people sharing their journeys, and it's so easy to fall into the comparison trap and want to or feel like your content needs to look a certain way or your offers need to look a certain way or your business needs to be of a certain size to be valuable. And I think we lose ourselves in that process. I lost my what makes me in the process. And I think when we trust ourselves, we're able to bring our full selves to whatever we're doing. And I think that's what resonates even more deeply because you and I could be doing the exact same thing, but it's your story that makes you amazing at what you do. It's your story that connects you to your like people. And I think when we forget that part, I forgot that part. I think it's draining first of all, but it also blocks us from connecting to the people we're meant to serve. Whether it's even just them resonating with a piece of content or them being a client, I think impact can look different in different ways. And that was like the coolest thing. Like it was just so like freeing just to remember, just trust yourself. So the tool then I would give myself is there's this tool that I got to learn in my certification and I modified it slightly to fit what I wanted to create with it. And it was based around how I think we forget our magic many times. Like I forgot or I overlook the cool things that I did. I overlook who I am as an individual. And I created this tool to just look back and remember like all the cool things that I've done, and how I showed up in those moments. So that's what I would give to the younger version of myself, to just have a tool to remember her magic, her secret sauce. We all
I
have a secret sauce.
love that. I love that. I need that tool. I need to remember and go back. And that's I'm so glad you said that. I feel like we often just flog ourselves, and not just like a mental flogging, right? We don't give ourselves enough grace because we are trying to be this version that we think the world needs,
Ooh,
instead
preaching
of
to the
being the
choir
one
here.
that, instead of being who we need to be, and
Mm,
who we need to be to show up, you know?
yeah.
So I'm so glad you said that.
And it's
Oh,
so simple. It's not even like a specific tool that you need, but it's just taking a moment for yourself and just
mhm.
acknowledging what you've done and who you were in those moments. Because I think that's more important than the outcome itself.
Oh, I love that. And let me ask you, moving forward, what is your vision for your business? Like, what impact do you want to leave, right, impart on this world?
Oh, that's a big question. And it's a question, if I'm being honest, Kesi, that I'm still trying to answer for myself. I don't have like full clarity on what 10 years or 20 years from now look like. I think I have an overall vision for what I want for myself, and I hope to share that through my energy with other people. And I just have these moments where like I want to live a full life. Like
Oh,
just do the things that are on my heart to do. And when I say live a full life as well, I also mean being fully present to experience it. So not in my head worrying about like, am I saying the right things to Kesi? Is my hair frizzing up right now? Like I want to be here and present with you in this experience that I wanted to have, which was to be on your podcast. And I think that's what's important to me overall. And I guess that'll feed into the overall impact I want to create in the world. I don't have full clarity on how that's going to happen or what that looks like specifically, but there's like tingles of what it could look like.
oh, I love that. And I hope that years from now we can look back on this when you're like in your best or largest glory of who you decide to be, and say, wow, I remember when I was asked that question, and look at where I am now. I'm projecting that growth for you. I love it.
And I appreciate that, Cassie. Thank you.
I love that. I love that. Awesome. And what are some tips that you feel like our listeners can take away from just your journey that you think would help them if they're in the same place, like trying to figure out, showing up, or do they show up, or starting a business? What are some tips that you think would help them?
I think the first one is to get to know yourself. I think self awareness is a powerful thing to have for your own growth journey, because what you'll find along the way is you'll see what's yours and what isn't yours. What stories and beliefs or ideals that you're living into that are yours and aren't yours. And I think when you have that awareness, you give yourself the power of choice. Like, you could choose having a 10K month business is not what I want, but having a 5K month business gives me the lifestyle I want and I'm still happy. So I think when you have self awareness, that's powerful. I think another tip I would suggest is like find community. It doesn't have to be 100 people for you to be in community. Even you and one other person, that's how community starts. So that's another tip I'd give. And then the third one is to honor your essence. And I think that applies to whether you want to start a business or you don't want to start a business. I think it's honoring who you are and what you want to do. Like, there's no right or wrong, there's no playbook on what steps you need to take or what journey you need to walk. And I think once you give yourself the chance to acknowledge that, you will like just have another level of freedom. So if you want to start a podcast, start a podcast. If you want to start a business, do it. And if you don't, that's also fine. But honor it in your way. And I think, yeah, those are the three tips I'd give the listeners.
Oh, I love it. I love it. And I do find that a lot of people have ideas in their mind, like, if I had the opportunity to, I would do that thing, not realizing that everyone has the opportunity to. It's
Yeah.
just the power of momentum, just getting up and today being like, you know what, I'm just going to do the thing.
Yeah.
And you don't have to succeed at that thing. That's not the point. It's really the journey,
Yeah.
right? It is very powerful, I believe, when you understand that the journey is more important than the destination. And
Hmm.
it was a very hard lesson for me to learn, that I was actually searching for something that I already had.
And what was the moment that you realized that for yourself? That
Mm. So I realized that when my business failed the first time, like, and I was like really sad about it. And I got mentorship on, again, clarity,
mm,
becoming clear about my purpose. Um, and at that moment, I realized, well, systems. I needed the right systems. I needed, all these different things in order to make what I wanted to accomplish possible. But then I also realized a lot of the things that I was like taking for granted in the business that I had before.
mm,
For example, family time,
yeah.
incorrect boundaries, like all the things that I had that I felt like I'm working so hard to gain. I already had it,
Mm,
right?
yeah.
So that's when my clarity came for me. Like, listen, A, this podcast, something that I could serve that version of myself. B, set the right boundaries so I can spend time with the people that that I have around me, because that's what's most important to me.
Yeah.
And I
And that's
mean,
so powerful.
it's powerful because you could be searching for this thing. Like, I need to be earning this amount
Hmm.
because then it will allow me to spend the time. What do you mean? You
Yeah.
have the people in your life at that moment. Spend the time.
Mm. And
Because
it's so powerful that you share. Sorry, go on.
no, go ahead, go ahead.
No, I was gonna say it's so powerful that you shared that because something I got to see, and it's formed like a big part of how I want to help people, is we find ourselves chasing a version of success that isn't ours.
Mm,
And we think, oh, we have to keep grinding in the business to prove ourselves in something, that we miss out on what's in front of us, like the family time that we want to spend, the travel that we want to do, the picnics we want to have. And I'm just so glad more and more people like yourself, Kesi, as well, are just what sharing that realization,
yeah,
because I think the more we hear it, the faster we're able to catch it within ourselves. So yeah, that's why it's so powerful that you shared that.
awesome, awesome. But it's so true.
Mm,
It's so true. I often wished if I could go back and give myself something. It's the power of realization that time is more important than anything else, and time with loved ones,
mm,
right?
yeah.
So, yeah,
And
awesome,
what
awesome.
is the tool you'd give her?
Oh,
Going back to
okay.
the question I had.
Actually, actually, the tool I would give her, systems.
Mm,
I did not understand the power of systems, because when you have the right systems in place, it frees up time. So
mm,
you're not working in a business that you created to you essentially you create a business to create the life that you want,
mm,
but you get bogged down with everyday tasks in that business that you never have time to live the life that you wanted. So it then becomes a job. So I would go back and give her the right tools, systems, right, to be able to operate so she has the free time to enjoy every day with her family.
yeah. Oh, I love that. Because
Yeah.
systems are so overrated. I know when I started, I was like, systems are boring. Like, why would I want systems? And then I started building them, and I was like, wow, this is like a game changer.
It's a life changer. It literally,
Life changer.
it literally, when I did that, when he mentored me, 'cause first of all, the power of mentors,
Mm,
right? And mentorship.
yeah.
I never knew the power of that before then. Before
Mm,
then, I heard it. It was a word. And I was like, okay, yeah, I get it. But I never understood that you can ask anyone for mentorship. You
yeah.
can reach out to anyone on social media and say, hey, yeah, some people are going to say no, but then some people are going to say yes. And if they're 10 steps ahead of you,
Hmm.
or even 2 steps ahead of you, it makes a huge difference in your business. And I never understood that before.
Yeah.
I never got it.
It is so
And
valuable.
it's so valuable. And when you're talking about community, I'm like, man, if more people understood the power of not just going into groups and staying silent, but going into groups and literally asking for help.
Yeah.
It literally can change the trajectory of your business from being at one place to like 10 steps ahead in like months compared to sitting down and trying to figure everything out yourself.
Yeah. Ooh.
Wow. Yeah, I love it. I love it. And let me ask you, so in the groups that you're in now, or if you're giving advice to someone, what advice would you give them for just being in a community? Like, what's your best advice?
I think I have two pieces of advice. So one is what you talked about is like ask for help when you're in the communities, and participate in the communities. I know I also have had moments where I'll silently observe, but then I also have moments when I do have questions and I ask. And I think when you do ask, there's so many other people who are navigating similar things or know someone who can help you. And I think there's just so much value in that. Like you said, something that could take you months to resolve or years to resolve, you can resolve in like a shorter span of time. So I think that's one. But the other one is just see how you can contribute to the community. Like I I feel like I had this perception as well when I first thought of communities, this whole notion around networking. Ugh, just saying it gave me the ick. And I think there's such a perception around networking and it seems very and feels very transactional. But and maybe it's not, maybe that's just my perception of it. But when you're in a community, I think that I think I've seen this a lot on Instagram is learn to be a villager. Like what can you do to help other people in this village? Like it's not just about what can you get, what can you take, it's like what can I add value. Like I'll see a post on Instagram, Kesi, I know you're working hard on like showing up on Instagram, being more visible. It just takes a simple like or just like a little cheer from someone to be like, Kesi, I see you, you're doing great, keep going. Little moments like that are also giving. So it doesn't have to be like a big give. Like you don't have to like invest in their programs if it doesn't align with you. It can be simple things like supporting them on social media, sharing out an event that they're having, or just referring someone to them or introducing them to someone. There's nothing you lose by introducing two people together. And I think simple gives like that can go a long way. So learn to be a villager. Not my
Wow.
words, but I was like, they sum up what I mean.
I love it. I love it. And where did your passion for giving come from? Where did that stem from?
Oh, that's a really good question. I think as humans, when even when you dig with the humans that you don't like as much, I think we we all have a soft heart. We all have a knack for generosity. And I think growing up, I was always part of community. Like I grew up in a community. It was very like village vibes where you'll have people walk into your home whenever at any point in the day they'll bring a dish, they'll like send something over when they have like they've made cake or they've made like a delicacy, and they'll even be there in like the hard moments, like you need to get to a place or get to an airport and there's no one to drop you off. I could call my neighbor and they'll happily do that for me. So I think from a very young age I saw generosity and I experienced generosity, and I think it just becomes more of who you are. And I think there is an element of being careful with how you use generosity. And what I mean by that is it's so easy to make it transactional. Like I have to give you something to get something, or I have to earn this position to be on a podcast with you. But sometimes, yeah, generosity is just generosity. So I think it's just being mindful of what is your intention behind giving. So it's not giving for giving's sake, but giving with intention. And that's what I got to experience growing up and even now. And I think I'm just reminded of the gift of it. So I want to keep passing it over.
Oh, I love that. I love that.
Yeah.
I genuinely love that. And when you're speaking, I was thinking about it. If people aren't in that same situation where they don't have a village around them, are they equally as able to give willingly because they've never seen
Mm,
it?
That's a really good question.
Yeah, I literally was thinking, I was like, it's so funny you said that you were raised in that kind of situation, because I
Mm.
really like my family. My dad, he was always giving. My mom was always giving,
Yeah.
and it sits on my heart that that's something that we should do. But I often wonder, if you don't see that, do you still do it?
Mhm.
And are we as people making people who've never seen it wrong for not doing it?
Oh, that is so powerful.
You
And I
know?
think there is an element, just that bit on are we making people wrong for not doing it? I think there is an element of like just having an open mind. We all have very different experiences, and my perception of the world is very different to yours. My perception of the world is very different to my brother's, and we're literally in the same family. And I think just being mindful of that, like that shapes a big part of how people show up in the world, how they interact with different people. I think it just reminds us to have grace and
Hmm.
like just compassion. And it's easy to forget that in the heat of the moment. Like I've gotten irritated or angry at someone for something. And then when I take a moment back, I'm like, wait, but their perception of generosity is very different to mine. Like I would be like, oh, I gave this much or I gave in this way and they didn't reciprocate in the same way. First of all, that's giving with the wrong intention. But second of all, generosity looks different to everyone. And I
Hmm.
think it's just allowing that to be what it is. And I think when we do that, like our butt cheeks unclench, Kesi. Like we just take this pressure off for things to need to be right or need to be one way and just embrace the world in the whole diversity of what it is. And I think that's when we experience magic.
Yep, yep. I have to agree with you. I have to agree with you there. And let me tell you, it was so hard for me not to laugh when you said your butt cheeks unclench.
I
You
mean,
said
there's
it
only
so
one way to
casually.
describe it. It's an analogy I come back to often, and I've questioned whether I
Oh,
should continue, but I feel like we all understand what that means. The
absolutely.
freedom, the
Absolutely. Absolutely. Totally understood in that moment explicitly what you meant.
I'm glad, I'm glad.
Oh, oh man. It's stuff like that that remind us that we are all pretty much human and think the same way.
Mm.
It's so amazing and refreshing.
Yeah. And we're all navigating this human experience. Like I used to be someone who had like very high expectations of other people. And then I was having a conversation that really reminded me that we're all human. Like this is an experience that we're having for the first time. No one has been through this human experience before. We're all figuring it out. And like from your own individual experience, you just know how crazy it is. So I think
Mhm.
that just reminds you to like have more grace and understanding like we're all figuring this out. So yeah.
Wow. Wow. And how has your entrepreneurial journey been in terms of like not just client acquisition, but like relationships with your clients? Is there something that you feel you're learning along the way with who you take on as a client and how you kind of navigate having them, well, taking them on actually?
So the offer that I'm working on recently is very new. So I haven't taken on clients yet for that. But I have worked with coaching clients in the past. And I think what's helped me in it is just being authentic, being me. Because if I'm presenting one way in my content or in my journey of acquiring a client and I show up differently in the call, that's a mismatch. And I think that shatters the relationship with the client and also the impact that you can have. So I think in my journey with acquiring clients and how I intend to do that, it's very much being me, being my bringing my personality out in whatever interaction that is. So even if someone's listening to this podcast, they're hearing me. I'm not
Mhm.
presenting a certain way. It's just me being me. And that's not like a business strategy. That's not like something a business coach will tell you, but it's being human. And I think that's what we need to remember as well in the entrepreneurship journey.
Yeah, I love that. because then you're going to attract who is supposed to be for you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Imagine I showed up so like prim and proper and I had someone who was prim and proper. I would get bored, Kesi.
Yeah. I get that. I totally get that. And that was part of my defining moment when getting my coach too, was learning that a lot of the clients that I was getting, they weren't my people,
Mm,
and when you're serving the wrong people, it is a miserable process.
yeah. And when you say like, was yours more so from a alignment perspective, like energetically and personality wise, or and I don't mean when I say personality, I don't think you have to be the same exact person as me, but I think I present a certain way and you might like it. You might like the fact that I talk about unclenching butt cheeks and you might find that inappropriate. So when you say like it was miserable, like what part of it was it the alignment energetically or like in terms of they were at a different stage of who you wanted to serve?
So it was alignment, it was totally misalignment. But here's the thing, because I didn't actually bring those clients in, right?
Mm,
Um, they weren't aligned for me. They were aligned for the person that brought them, right?
okay. Yeah.
So that taught me a lot too. So even in doing this business, for example, someone is out there and they're thinking about getting a new employee or sales reps or somebody, they have to remember that when they're scaling their business and they're bringing other partners or business people in, whoever they bring in needs to be very aligned with
Mm,
them to make sure that the people that they're attracting, the people that the original founder or business they
yeah.
want to serve. So whoever you bring into your business has to be more like you energetically, so
Mm.
that you're attracting the right people,
Oh, yeah. Okay. I see what you're saying.
right? I learned that the hard way. You have to always make sure, and that's where business culture comes from. That
Mm.
word business culture, I never understood. So
Tell
business
me more
culture
about that.
so business culture isn't just about, you know how you want your company to show up to potential clients. Business culture is the culture that you have within your office, the
Mm.
people that you attract when you hire. You
Yeah.
make sure that they fit your energy, your values, your beliefs,
Your vibe.
your vibe, right? Because if they don't match,
Mm.
that I mean, one bad fit, one bad hire could potentially derail your entire business. And that was something I learned later,
Mm.
right? So it's critical. Everybody you bring on the team, yeah, there needs to be some kind of questionnaire that goes out, and it could be simple,
Mm.
right? Simple, for you to be able to know. So I'll give you a great example. you know Before, when I used to do like pre-interviews on this podcast, right, we would do pre-interviews and I would do the pre-interviews, right? But you've met Paula, right? And Paula is such a cool person, like just her vibe and her energy, that I'm like, you know what, I can trust her to do that, because I know that she's gonna align with people that are gonna be a good fit for me to speak with. So
I
I
can
can
confirm.
so I can trust the process, right? So, you know, again, you have to make sure that when you're building out your team, it's people that are gonna attract
Yeah.
and repel the people you don't want to work with,
Mm.
and that's critical.
And that's also okay, like repelling people.
Oh
And I
no,
just,
absolutely.
it's needed.
It's
And
needed.
I appreciate like conversations like this, even what you're building with the Entrepreneurial Truth podcast is like real stories and what the process and journey looks like. Because they don't teach you in the business. They don't teach you this in the business books. Like it's learned through experience. And I think more people sharing their experiences just brings a whole other learning and perspective to what we do. So yeah, I'm glad you shared that part.
Oh, absolutely. It's listen, I wish this podcast or podcast similar were just real entrepreneurs, not 10 years later, where we're trying to you know, compare our beginning stage with someone that's in the middle of their journey or at the end of their journey. You know, beginners, whatever podcast or person resonates with you at your stage of your journey, that's what I wish was there.
And you're creating it, so yeah.
Yeah. Yep. It is a process, and again, some brilliant minds, some amazing souls. It's been a great journey. It is a great journey.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's a gift.
And let me ask you, what is the highlight of your journey right now? If you had to say, like, I woke up today and I looked back and it was just an amazing ride. What was the most amazing part of what you've built so far?
Ooh, I'm having a moment as you ask this because I haven't done that lately. Even though I created that tool, like I haven't used it myself. But I think looking back, the coolest thing or the highlight has actually been like me and my growth.
Oh,
And
love that.
I don't say that to be cheesy. I say that because it is true. There were so many stories that I was entertaining in my mind that were limiting me and stopping me from taking action. And when I look back now, I'm still working through different stories, but I've worked through a lot of them and I've showed up and I've posted the content. I have pitched certain like lead magnets. I have messaged different people. I've put myself out there. And I think getting to witness that is so powerful. Like just how you've grown and what you worked through, like the storms that you made it through. I think that's like the highlight reel for me.
And I love that. I love that. I
And I
love
love
that.
that question because like I hadn't thought about it or looked back on that journey. And I think when you so much happens and you're just like in the weeds, and that question like took me out for a moment and like gave me a chance to look back. So yeah.
Awesome. Awesome. And how can our listeners find you?
Oh, so Instagram is the best place for me to connect with me. And my page is Priya_P08. And from there you can find all the quirks, all the weirdness, and all the ways to connect with me.
I love that. Priya, thank you so much for being on our show today.
And thank you for having me, Kesi. This was a wonderful conversation. And I'm so glad I got to connect deeper with you and just hear more about your story as well through your podcast.
Oh, likewise. Thank you so much.
Thank you.